Ladies and gentlemen, that young man would like to be my congressman. We'll discuss him and his 5,000 word love letter from Maureen Dowd today, his interview on MSNBC, his second, third, and fourth names, and his prospects for winning. Dan, you've raised money for a Kennedy offspring.
That's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Jack Schlossberg, who wants to replace Jerry Nadler in a very crowded primary. You basically represent the heart of Manhattan. You go just to the edge of Harlem and then downtown, but it's all of the East Side and the all of West Side. So he'd be your congressman too, right?
Correct. Yes, he would.
So you and I are going to be going to a lot of town halls with that guy. I'm not sure, like in Central Park, maybe at the band shell. Dan,
I think they're going to be on TikTok. That's where we're going to do them.
Will he be able to raise a lot of money?
He will not have a problem raising money.
He will not.
No, he will not. But I think he will not have a problem with either low dollar or high dollar. That family has people who will write to them through thick and thin.
Yeah. Sean, who's your favorite living Kennedy and your favorite dead Kennedy? That's a reference to the band, of course.
I'm going to go living RFK.
Yeah. And dead? Could also be RFK.
No. I'm going to go Jackie. And for those of you wondering, we have a church in Newport, Rhode Island, St. Mary's, that is where Jackie and JFK were married. So I'm looking at it from a nostalgia standpoint only.
Yeah. I know we have a lot to get to. Do you want to hear my one Jackie O story? The one time I met her?
I do.
I was covering Bill Clinton. He was running for president. He was doing a fundraiser in Manhattan, and it was at some rich person's house. And Jackie was said to be attending. So everybody was all excited. And I was in the pool. We were standing outside with the camera crew, and I was doing other stuff. I wasn't watching it, the comings and goings totally. And at some point, the cameraman grabbed me by the shoulder, and I looked up, and there was Jackie O. Never seen her in person, and she wasn't that far away from me. And I screamed. I've never done that. I was just so shocked to see. I went, "Ah!" And very nice. She came over to see if I was okay. It was a little embarrassing.
What did everyone else think?
Oh, they thought I was ridiculous. They all laughed at me for a week. But I screamed and frightened Mrs. Onassis. And it's all on camera, but I'm not showing the video today. Anyway, thank you for being here. This is the morning meeting based on Network News Division's morning meetings, which when I worked at ABC, I used to attend every day. Bureaus from around the world report in what's going to happen coming up in that day and comment about it and sort of plan their day. That's what this show is based on. But it's a surprise twist. You get to participate if you're here on the two-way platform. Would like to be part of it, please raise your hand. If you're watching on X or on YouTube, we have chat. You can go in there, run and comment. Oh, Mark, that was such a cute Jackie O story. Dan, I love your Fairway green baby blue outfit. That's great, but no smack in the chat. See, that's what we're trying to do here. Peace, love, and understanding, presumption of grace to all. Just don't put smack in the chat. It couldn't be more basic. We all are wearing our beautiful Fairway and Green merch today. Sean, I particularly like yours. Did you sleep in that?
No, but I will sleep on the plane on the way back with it. So I haven't yet.
Do you want to share anything about your evening?
Look, I'm just saying, we talk about how America can heal. Tom Bergeron and I shared a moment last night that shows if we can get along, America can get along.
Tell folks who don't know where you are. Where were you last night?
I'm in Los Angeles. Last night was the 20th anniversary celebration, birthday, some called it, of Dancing with the Stars. It's 29 seasons, but a couple of those occurred from spring to fall. So it was the 29th year since Dancing with the Stars was launched. And it was amazing. I mean, folks from season one, I met Wayne Newton for the first time. We got a nice selfie. There were athletes, musicians, and notable people that
Is there a gift? Was there a gift bag?
Mark, I am the king of swag, and there was no swag on the way out.
Budget cuts, all right.
Damn it.
No. Right. I just don't think it's a thing. I didn't think it was a thing. It was unbelievably well done. Yeah. But no swag on the way out.
All right. Well, happy anniversary. Quick word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll run through the daybook, and then we'll get right to your news of the day. And again, a lot of great clips. One of the sponsors for the program today, friends at Chef IQ. Go to chefiq.com, promo code 2WMM, 30% off. Thanksgiving's coming up. You can be a little stressed. Is the turkey going to come out all right? And you certainly don't want to spend your entire time obsessing over the turkey. So the folks at Chef IQ have an idea for you. Put your wireless cooking thermometer right in there. Takes the guesswork away. You write on the app. You may check the app when you're not on Polymarket or YouTube TV. It gives you a sense of everything: when to flip it, when to turn it off, when to take it out, even how long to let it rest at the end. No more peeking, no more dried out turkey, just perfectly cooked meat every time. And it works on more than turkey: steaks, chicken, fish, everything, whatever you're doing. Plus, it makes the ultimate gift. So if you're looking to buy something for somebody for the holidays who loves to cook or wants to learn to cook, go to chefiq.com. Use the promo code T2WMM, promo code 2WMM, the number 2, two-way morning meeting for your 30% off discount. All right, the president's schedule today. He's not doing much, but there is a Caroline Leavitt briefing, which I think we'll all be looking forward to. 1 o'clock. The president's having dinner tonight. They call it a private dinner, but the jig is up thanks to my friend Jennifer Jacobs of CBS News and her colleagues who report that this is for the kings of finance, Jamie Dimon, the head of the NASDAQ, and others invited. So this is the finance CEOs on the heels of the last month, the tech CEOs outside. It's a nice day in Washington, I believe, based on my iPhone's weather app. So,
boy, if I were Gavin Newsom, I would do some dinners with regular people.
Yeah.
And contrast him every time he does this stuff.
Brilliant idea. Yep. Brilliant idea. And then Caroline brief at 1. So we'll see what's on everybody's mind there. Probably some healthcare, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's a big MAHA summit in Washington today. Speakers include the Vice President of the United States and also Bobby Kennedy is speaking. That's all going on all day in D.C. Marco Rubio is in Ontario with his counterparts from the G7. The House is back, ladies and gentlemen. By the end of the day, they're expected to vote for the final passage of the minibus, probably right around the time two-way tonight is on this evening. Hakeem Jeffries' 2 o'clock press conference. Mike Johnson is swearing in at 4 o'clock. The gentlelady from Arizona who says that one of her top priorities is to vote for the sign the discharge petition on Jeffrey Epstein. Supreme Court's hearing a couple cases today, one involving sentencing of an alleged murderer and another on sentencing laws. Gavin Newsom continues on in Brazil for day 3 of the COP30 summit. And Chris Murphy, who some view as a potential presidential candidate, is in the great state of New Hampshire, meeting with Granite Staters at the fabled St. Anselm Institute of Politics. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. All right. We start with the aftermath of the Senate vote ending the government shutdown before they sent the legislation over to the House. They're now a school of thought from Joe Scarborough, my friend, and others who say, and the Washington Post and New York Times both wrote pieces about this, who say this was actually a huge win for the Democrats. Bernie Sanders is wrong. All the interest groups are wrong. This was huge because it's put healthcare front and center. And it's set the Republicans up for massive defeat. Dan, how do you subscribe to that school of thought? And if not, why not?
I mean, to some extent, which is why I've said it for 2 months. I mean, I've always said this, that the healthcare, if you could just isolate that issue, which is kind of where we are coming out of this, and affordability, it is in the big picture, in the long run, a win. What is not a win is if you just look at what they were trying to do, which is say, we'll only reopen the government if you do A or B, A and B, and they did not. In that sense, it is a loss, because ultimately where the other side is they feel like after the Tuesday elections, with Trump saying that the shutdown is hurting us Republicans and polling showing that we were up, the other school is, hey, like, we were about to break them. Now, the other side says, like, okay, so how long were we going to wait? Like a month, 2 months, and all the real pain that was going to happen. So I do think that is, Joe and others are not wrong, but the party's got to stop the circular firing squad.
Sean, why does Bernie Sanders see this differently than Dan and Joe?
Because he's actually living in reality. I mean, this is the equivalent of when you get broken up by your girlfriend and all your buddies go, dude, you need to see other people anyway. Like, this is so I mean, anybody who thinks that this was like, if you're a Democrat, I agree with Dan. Strategically, you get to move on to the real fight, but the reality is you caved, you lost, you got nothing for it after 41 days. And so I mean, I get why they're sugarcoating this, but the reality is they got dumped.
Well, I don't fully agree with that, because we're going to get to the headlines. It's all about healthcare and affordability.
Right, but here's my point.
That's because of this. That was not there prior to the shutdown.
Yes. So tell me what's different between this and let's just call it 30 days ago. The offer on the table was the same.
But that's the bigger issue now is the public is all talking about healthcare. If you look in surveys, it's a top four issue now. It
It
was
was a
not
top four
prior.
issue
It was
30 days
not.
ago.
It was not in the summer. We were talking about crime. We were talking about immigration. I mean, it was not, right? Doge over the spring. Like it is now front and center as we head into the
Okay.
midterms. So
I,
in
I,
that
I'm
regard,
sorry, I got to stop you because there's breaking news from the New York Times regarding Jeffrey Epstein. I'll read you from their exclusive story. House Democrats on Wednesday released emails in which Jeffrey Epstein wrote that President Trump had, quote, spent hours at my house with one of Mr. Epstein's victims, among other messages that suggested the convicted sex offender believed Mr. Trump knew more about his abuse than he has acknowledged. Mr. Trump has emphatically denied any involvement. He has said that he and Mr. Epstein were once friendly but had a falling out. But Democrats in the House Oversight Committee said the emails, which they selected from thousands of pages of documents received by their panel, raised new questions about the relationship between the two men. In one of the messages, Mr. Epstein flatly asserted that Mr. Trump, quote, knew about the girls, many of whom were later found by investigators to have been underage. In another, Mr. Epstein pondered how to address questions from the news media about their relationship as Mr. Trump was becoming a national political figure. Sure to come up at the briefing today, Dan. And the Times says that White House hasn't responded. Dan, thoughts?
we were talking about healthcare up until I mean, we've always said this. Anytime there's new information, it brings the story back to light. And so you're going to have this and then the vote. It's just going to feed the what might be behind the curtain.
Sean, what will this do to the debate over disclosure?
Zero.
Nothing. Zero.
Look, there's two things about sort of quote unquote scandals. One is if people believe what they believe. So people generally believe that most people in politics are scoundrels and cheat and steal and do everything. So when you tell them they cheat and steal, they go, "Yeah, we already knew that." You're just adding more details to what they presume to know. Secondly, I don't think there's anything that I've seen so far come out about Epstein that is relatively new. It's conjecture at best. So I don't think. I mean, I think it puts it back in the headlines for a day or
Yeah.
two, but I don't think anybody that is going to wake up and just go, "You got to see how shocked I am."
Right. Well, if these are authentic, let me just read you the one. This is an exchange between Epstein and Maxwell from April of 2011. Epstein writes, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump." And remember, in 2011, Trump was thinking about running for president. So I think that's the context of this. "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump." He added that an unnamed victim, quote, spent hours at my house with him. He's never once been mentioned. And Maxwell replies, "I've been thinking about that." I mean,
Yeah, but right, and at best, it's
this
two
is this
people.
is new. This is new.
Well, when it's two people at the center of the story, like
Yeah.
No, no,
know,
but
everything.
I mean, look, I'm just saying that you have two people. So when the White House pushes back, Mark mentioned Caroline's going to have a briefing today, and say, okay, one's a convicted felon, the other one's dead.
Right.
So let me
But
ask you
it's
this.
contemporaneous. If they're authentic, again, the reason this is new and potentially significant, just maybe stating the obvious, is we've never known what had any window into what Epstein thought about Trump's awareness of what he did. We've
We
never had a
also
window into
have
that.
one of the people still alive, one of the people sitting in prison, and
Yeah.
one of the people getting some preferential treatment.
And one of the people has unfettered pardon power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we'll hear a little more about
Yeah.
this because, by
All
the
right.
way, we had a falling out. Doesn't mean none of this is not true.
Yeah.
Just
I don't
means we
know.
had a falling out.
I don't see them. I don't see them talking about it in cable yet, but we'll watch for that. All right,
I
let's
gotta
move.
be honest with
Let's,
you.
yeah.
That's by the way, that is the thing that's going to could change the trajectory of this story. Is if he pardons or commutes the sentence, which I think a commutation of the sentence is probably the more likely. I think will go nuts.
You've said that consistently, and I've really resonated with me because I don't doubt that you're right, but I still think he's going to do it. And particularly
Yeah,
after this story, I think he's going to do it.
I'm not convinced that he won't, but I'll tell you, it's interesting. You know, we talked about Tucker and Nick Fuentes, and I keep picking at that scab, so to speak, where I'm like,
Yeah.
I ask people I know, when you talk about Epstein with MAGA people, for some reason that gets their ire up.
Yeah. I think he's going to commute her sentence, and then Musk is going to send her into space on a rocket. Because isn't she in a,
like
isn't
Putin,
she
is the plane going to crash?
isn't she in a prison in Texas now? Isn't that
Yeah.
where she is? And isn't that where Musk launches his rockets from?
It
No,
is.
no
Yeah.
one else is connected.
He's
These
got
two
his own
dots.
town too.
Yeah.
Maybe
All right,
he makes her mayor first.
Exactly. Let's go back to talking about healthcare and the economy.
Right.
Big focus on affordability and the question of, can the president, by the midterms, they say promises made, promises kept, general affordability, and then particularly on healthcare. Everybody's been talking about in these two stories about in the New York Times and Washington Post about how maybe the Democrats won, quoting the president's own pollster from a relatively recent memo saying Republicans better get their arms around healthcare costs or there'll be a price to pay in the congressional races. Here is the here is Harry Enton of CNN, my friend. Such a busy guy, he can't apparently find time to shave before going on TV, talking about the president's affordability political crisis, not the crisis for America's working families.
Hey there, Laura. Look, Donald Trump might be trying to downplay voters' concerns about affordability, but I'm here to tell you that is a ginormous error. It may be an error that goes down in political infamy. Why do I say that? Well, the reason Donald Trump was elected was to fix the problem of inflation. Right back in October of 2024, who was more trust in inflation? It was Donald Trump by 9 points over Kamala Harris. But look at where we are today. Donald Trump is underwater with the Titanic when it comes to inflation. His net approval rating is 26 points underwater. My goodness gracious. Now, I know Donald Trump, when things aren't going his way, wants to pass the political buck. He might try and throw it back at Joe Biden's face, the former president. That, simply put, will not work. The American people don't buy it because, get this, more responsible for the current economy, Trump or Biden, we're talking 54%. The clear majority of voters say Donald Trump's more responsible for the current economy than just 21% who say Joe Biden. I will note I've seen this in poll after poll after poll. More folks saying Trump is responsible than Biden.
Okay.
Now, of course, it's one thing.
And I'll say with affection about my friend Harry is no one on TV could more be replaced by AI than Harry because his shtick is just so signature. All right, here is the Secretary
He's the
of
Steve Kornacki of
exactly.
CNN.
Here's Secretary of Treasury who's hanging out in New York. Haven't heard from him yet, but he's here because he's been on TV 2 days in a row. Here he is on the curvy couch on Fox and Friends, explaining how he's going to bring prices down by growing bananas or importing bananas.
What products are you working on bringing down? We know that certain products are down, certain up. Like, for example, coffee. The president says, I'm going to lower the rates, tariff rates on Brazil and Vietnam and other places to try to bring the price of coffee down. What else are you doing?
Well, it's tough to do a lot of specific things, but I can tell you, Brian, you're going to see some substantial announcements over the next couple of days in terms of things we don't grow here in the United States. You know, coffee being one of them. Bananas, other fruits, things like that. So that will bring the prices down very quickly.
Very quickly. So the Secretary of Treasury and his colleagues in that building and at the White House, they're working on housing prices, they're working on food prices, they're working on health care. Here is their colleague, Mr. Emmer, the Republican whip in the House, talking about health care costs on Fox and Friends also, 110.
How do you confront the healthcare problem by January 30th? And that is Obamacare unaffordable, but still the American people want a practical answer.
This is the whole point, Brian. Mike Johnson is not making any commitments other than Republicans in the House, and we believe Republicans in the Senate and our great president, Donald J. Trump, are committed to fixing the problem that Democrats created. They created the Affordable Care Act. They're the only ones. It's their law. It's the law of the land. They like to call it Obamacare because I think it distracts people from the problem that they've created, the Unaffordable Care Act. Since it was created, Brian, healthcare costs have gone up 80% for the average family. 80% for the average family. It's not affordable. And to throw more money at insurance companies who are gorging themselves at this trough of disgust is not the right answer. The answer is reform the system, create more transparency, more choice, more competition. That's what Republicans are about. You got to fix the problem. You don't just keep throwing good money after bad.
Sean, I was accused by some of our community of badgering your friend Hogan last night on Two Way Tonight because I asked him 20 or 30 times. I didn't lose count. What's the president's plan for lowering healthcare costs? And Hogan, said, a variety of things that were non-responsive. What is the White House going to do between now and January and State of the Union, and then between now and the midterms to lower the costs of things, including healthcare?
Yeah, Mark, I don't know why Hogan didn't do that. The simple answer is that our president, Donald J. Trump, will continue to fight for the American people.
Yeah, he tried that.
bring
That was one of his
costs
30 answers. Yeah.
Oh, how did he end? Because I can go there.
How did he end? His last one was, Mark, stop badgering me. Why isn't the two-way community coming to my defense?
Yeah. So again, I'll just say that our president, Donald J. Trump, was
Is he going to have a plan?
unanimously elected by
What's he
every
doing?
American.
Yeah.
He won every battleground
Every
state.
band straight by. It wasn't even close, really.
It wasn't even close. It was the greatest landslide in
People
American
are saying
history.
it was the greatest landslide. Sean,
It was the greatest 2-point margin in the history of politics.
Will there be a plan to lower healthcare costs that the president announces and House and Senate Republicans say this is our plan? Or are they just going to say Obamacare is horrible?
Well, so there's two separate things here. I think the team is probably working with the president to highlight additional areas where he is or can bring down costs of goods. The problem with Bessent's answer goes back to what we've talked about many times. When you use, this is why certain things matter. You used IEPA, an emergency declaration, to say that we have a trade war. You can't then go in, my understanding at least, is then carve out certain other saying, well, except for. That would have been what you should have done using trade mechanisms. So you can go in and use sectoral dispute mechanisms like a 328 and said, we're going after this sector, this sector, this sector. It would have taken longer, but it would have avoided sort of a rifle shot of every sector. And so I know some people poo-pooed what Secretary Bessent said, but he was smart, like from a litigation standpoint. You don't want the court to start saying, okay, well, we could carve out certain pieces because that would go against the nature of what the emergency powers gave him. The president has to do two things. One is, as I said, acknowledge the fact that things are going down, but they're not where they were, and that he's going to continue to fight for them. And then pick out maybe some small things that he can do that are impactful. So he's done that with prescription drugs, gas. I've never believed that politicians have a huge factor of that, but he can at least point to it because you get blamed for it, so you might as well take credit for it. Talk about interest rates, but they need to make that part of their lexicon, which is we're not done yet. We have more work to be done. We're on the right track. That's got to be part of the messaging piece of it. And then the mechanics piece of it is figure out a couple sectoral areas where you can make more of an impact and be very loud about that.
Dan, I expect Jack Schlossberg to campaign in my falafel shop and rail against $2.50 falafel balls.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, look, the problem they have with saying that we inherited the mess is they made the mess with tariffs and uncertainty. If you just listen to
the mess was there.
No, they have made it so much worse with tariffs and uncertainty. Go listen to every earnings call. Go listen to every small business executive, chamber of commerce, trade association. Same thing. Tariffs, uncertainty from the chaos. So the problem is when Trump said, one, Trump doesn't do empathy and we haven't done enough. Just not in his lexicon. Winning and we got it. It's easy. It are his two modus operandis. So to me, the problem is, I agree with you, Sean, you need to do some stuff. But when you start saying we're going to give exemptions on tariffs, you know what Democrats are going to say? Bring the whole damn thing down.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. If the president called in Susie Wiles and Scott Bessent and Stephen Miller and said, I'm convinced now that we need to address affordability and coverage, the twin challenges of healthcare. And I want to have in the State of the Union a specific proposal that Republicans can rally around that would extend coverage and make healthcare more affordable, healthcare coverage more affordable. What would that process look like? Would they be able to do that? There are a lot of ideas.
It's called a Republican Civil War.
No.
It costs money.
No.
It costs money. So Trump care, $2 trillion, $3 trillion.
Well,
but what if they just do a bunch of private sector,
yes,
free market things, sell across state lines, medical savings accounts.
HSAs.
It doesn't change the fact that you're going to buy. So let's say I set up the account. Okay. I'm now going to go and buy private insurance on the open private insurance market. They're not bending the cost. I need a pool of people. The problem the insurers have I got pretty good knowledge on this, is they don't want sick people.
No.
Because they cost a lot of money. Who
They cost
needs
all
insurance?
they cost all the money.
They cost all the money. So
Well-
Americans are unhealthy. Americans go to the doctor and take pills for, 15,000 different things. And so the problem is, if you're going to give Americans the money to then go shop, to go do that, you're not touching any of that stuff. So if Trump comes forward at State of the Union, if they were going to really fix this, it would take a year and a half of serious negotiation, bringing in all the interest groups. The idea that they're going to put something forward as maybe they'll just make it a holding place.
Yeah.
To say,
Sean,
if you win, guess what?
Sean,
You control everything.
I have a pretty good understanding of what Donald Trump thinks about a lot of things, but not as good as yours. I don't have the sense he has any understanding of, not any, I don't get a sense that he has like a Clinton-esque understanding of how the healthcare system works and that he's not that interested in it. Is that true?
I think he's got a lot more than we probably believe. I mean, it is much more capitalism centered in the sense that now you may say that's simplistic, but I think he understands the bigger, broader question, because when we literally got elected, that was our number one agenda item that we're hit. But so those were the big discussions back then. I will tell you, and at least consistent with what he has truthed out, the thing about healthcare that I find fascinating is everyone knows it's going up, but a good chunk of people don't have to deal with it. And here's what I mean by that. If you get your insurance from your employer, which is what most people get, you might hear the HR department whine or complain or make a comment about it, but it doesn't really touch you because your percentage,
except for deductibles going up.
Right.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it except
correct. But so we hear about it, but the vast majority of Americans get their insurance from an employer that doesn't pass the cost onto them.
Right. But let me sorry, go ahead.
So all I was going to say is, no, true. And again, as someone who literally pays healthcare, I can tell you, I get it. And what I think the president should do, and that's why it gets to your question, which is a lot of this comes down to just pure messaging. And saying, here's what we're doing, because for the most part, people aren't going to touch it, feel it, have to experience it. So you just have to, it's like a Clinton thing, feel their pain, talk about something that's real. And I think that, for example, the president, consistent with what he's truthed out, should announce an expansion of health savings accounts, how much more we can put towards them to pay for out-of-pocket costs, whether you have a plan or not, blah, 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 blah. I think that would help actually drive down some costs. But secondly, it would make Americans feel like they're doing something and give a good talking point to the White House.
Yeah. All right. We've got like 7 topics I want to get through. So we're going to just rapid round the rest of them. Unfortunately, I wish we could do more. And then we'll get to your questions. So please raise your hand if you'd like to get in the conversation. Well, I got to do a quick ad. Cozy Earth. Got another email last night from one of you thanking me profusely, saying 2 pairs of pants and love them. Love the pants. She bought the same ones. Sean, what are the name of the pants you have that you love so much?
Oh, the bamboo. Bamboo joggers.
No. The joggers. The joggers. She bought 2 pairs of joggers. She loves them. Go right now. You want to save a fortune. Believe it or not, 40% off everything on the site. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code MARK. For 40% off the entire site, the jogger pants, the towels, the blankets, the bubble cuddle blanket.
Mark, I gotta say this. You got me hooked on the pants.
Yeah.
Specifically the bamboo joggers. So I'm gonna tell everyone this. My thing is, you got to get that bamboo eye mask. There's 2 eye masks that they sell. The bamboo one, amazing.
It's so comfortable. I mean, not just.
Did you wear an eye mask on the plane?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I can't. Not. I mean, it's. I can see that would. I'd rather do this.
The masks are good too. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Go right now again. CozyEarth.com, promo code MARK, 40% off. All right. When there's a hit job, opposition research dump on a Trump government official, it's one of 2 things or a combination. It's either deep state bureaucrats who are hostile, who talk to friendly reporters in the Washington Post, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal and say how horrible that official is, or sometimes it's from inside the house. It's a MAGA person in the government who wants to get that person out. So 2 stories, both in the Wall Street Journal today, going after 2 leading officials in the administration. One, Kash Patel, number 108. Here's the headline. Kash Patel's effing wild ride as FBI director. In just 1 week in October, he ticked off his bosses with premature comments about a terror investigation and squeezed in a trip to the Boondoggle Ranch on a government jet. Now, he has to fly in government jets. That's the law. But he's been taking a number of personal trips. So that's one story. And if you read the blind quotes in there, hard to know who they're from, but it does say people as the subhead says, there are people in the White House who have not been pleased. Bill Pulte, the housing czar, that's what I call him. He's pissed people off at the White House over his getting the president to promote a 50-year mortgage. Here's the headline, also from the Journal. Fannie Mae watchdog probed how Pulte obtained mortgage records of key Democrats. And this story says that the Pulte fired the investigators, the in-house investigators who were probing his own conduct in this question of how exactly did he figure out these alleged mortgage violations for Letitia James and others. He claims he just got them through normal course of business. But my quick question after that big setup, Sean, is, are these two officials being targeted by friendly fire, or are they being targeted by the deep state, or is it a combination?
Can you put the cash one back up?
Sure.
Real quick, just to add.
Put that back up, number 108, please.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the evidence, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I can't see the byline on that one.
No.
So the byline is what is my greatest tell. So on the second one, on the Pulte one, Brian Schwartz, longtime White House reporter, CNN reporter, that tells me he is the lead person on that. Somebody inside leaked that to Brian to go after Bill. And there's no surprise, the 50-year leaked mortgage plan from every account obviously was Bill's. So I think that's clearly, we're using the term friendly fire. I think that the cash one as well, without even seeing the byline, I think is that as well.
Actually, Sean, I think four authors on this one: Sadie Gurman, Anna Viswanatha, Josh Dawsey, and Jack Gillum.
Okay, there you go. So Jack Gillum is the investigative reporter, and Josh Dawsey, longtime White House reporter. So those two tells say, one, the cash story was a White House plant, and the cash one was a DOJ one. So I can almost tell you how they played out by who wrote the stories. They're both, red on red stories, somebody not liking the tactics of both of them coming after him. The problem with one of these, or both of these rather, is, at least from everything I know, is that the president really approves of how both of them are conducting their jobs. They're pit bulls. They're going after the other side. And so I think that they were red on red, but they were sort of misfires. They shot the wrong target.
Both stories seem to suggest the White House is unhappy. Dan, do you read those pieces as warning shots, or you think one or both of them could be gone?
I think it's warning shots, but I trust Sean more. And I know there's, in both stories, it says Trump's been a little peeved at each, but doesn't seem to indicate a real, just when you read it, you just shake your head. I mean, the fact that Kash Patel has numerous times spoken too early on X and impacted investigations, even beyond the private jet travel to visit his girlfriend, which I'm sure does piss Trump off. It just looks bad and he knows it.
Yeah.
I think Pulte, you keep firing IGs who are investigating you. It just, whether it's him or other people, I still wonder how the heck he got it. And boy,
there's a great new book out. I
think some of these guys are going to resign.
No. So
I think they'll get ahead of the curve.
So there's a great book out. I haven't read it yet, by Gary Walters, who is the longest serving White House chief usher. And there's a quote that he's put out in some of the press reports that say, I always got a kick out of the fact that the White House talks, right? So when someone says the FBI is not happy with someone, or the Pentagon's pissed, it's always a person, right? And so the question is, the White House isn't pissed. I think certain people in the White House are pissed, probably because of certain things. But I will tell you, the only person in the White House that matters, I think, really approves of how both of those guys are carrying out their job.
Right. Okay. So again, another Epstein email I'm going to read, and we got to go quick, but I'm just going to read this to you. And this raises the stakes even more, because I'm sure Caroline will say today, I'm pretty sure, that this is false. But Maxwell now will want to be heard from, because entered the character of Michael Wolff, writer. I don't say journalist, writer Michael Wolff, one of Sean's favorites. Michael Wolff, writer, in an email in 2019. So Trump's president at this point, 2019. From Epstein to Michael Wolff, quote, Trump said he asked me to resign, meaning from Mar-a-Lago. Trump has said he asked him to quit the club. Never a member, ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So he's asserting that Trump said to Maxwell, you guys need to stop doing this stuff. So maybe Maxwell will deny it too, and that'll be that. But that ups the stakes. All right, gentlemen, we got to move quickly. We're going to skip some topics. Gavin Newsom, 28. The only thing I'm going to say about it is today is the day I'm officially changing my position. I didn't think Gavin Newsom was going to run, but what's happening, the press is treating him like a de facto nominee, and the rest of the field is so weak and no one's slowing him down. I'm now saying that despite his reservations, his family's reservations, and the scrutiny that's going to destroy much of his family's privacy and relationship to the known universe, now I think he's going to run because this is just too overwhelming. He's galloping ahead. Galloping ahead.
I don't know. The only thing I'm going to say in that is he's winning the shadow primary, but you don't see polling evidence yet that he's polling away.
100%. But people are going to coalesce around him. People are going to call donors. He's going to be able to raise money in all three categories like nobody else.
If you saw the 2004 movie, he is the Dem George W. Bush. They're going to coalesce around him and say
cork on a raging river.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Although Bush had a lot of challengers who were pretty good, including John McCain. There's nobody of McCain's level.
But here's the thing, though, guys. He does not have the base is like enamored, but they're not fully in love.
100%.
So that he still has an Achilles with the base.
100%. Now, who will his vice presidential nominee be? Mikey Sherrill. This is an extraordinary memo. Go to Politico, read the whole thing. Put this up. It's like a 7-page memo from her campaign manager that is just they pretend it's advice for midterm candidates, but this is look at the campaign we ran. We can do this for president. It's an extraordinary thing. I've seen memos like this, never one at this level of detail. How they did social media, how they appealed to different constituencies, how they performed demographically and geographically. It says it's Mikey Sherrill's battle plan. The subject line reads, "How we won New Jersey." But Dan, this is just basically back to what you were the first to report, that her team is ready for her to run national in 2028, even though she just got elected.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating is watching her versus Spanberger, because you have two media markets, DC and New York. Spanberger's more head down, announcing her cabinet picks and kind of getting ready to govern. Sherrill is, not shy. And so I still think, I have to see if I bump into people here in the neighborhood, she's thinking about it.
Yep, 100%. It's an incredible memo. Incredible. Sean, let's say she ran, would she be formidable?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, why not? Yeah. I mean, look, she's got a great resume. She stuck to message. Had a good margin. I mean, the narrative is what matters, right? And that's the thing, is that people text me all the time. I can't believe you said this about Gavin Newsom or that about Pete Buttigieg. The bottom line is, I don't support any of these people, but it's like if you're a good coach, you look at an opposing team and say, is this going to be a tough game?
Yeah.
And I think that Mikey Sherrill she's very appealing. She's got a great resume. And I think that, the key for her is going to be that first month. She talked about what they call it, Reggie in New Jersey, the energy regulator. Does she actually, if she can get some good wins under her belt in the first 30 days, she's a very attractive candidate. She's well-spoken. I think I would, and again, it's a state, I know it's not a real swing state, but I think that you can buy into the press narrative and say, New Jersey was potentially going, and I did. I mean, so she's got a good narrative to jump on board.
Newsom Sherrill versus Vance Rubio. That's a slugfest.
I wanted to say I agree with you, Sean. She's got to get off to a strong foot, because what she can't have is, because the press corps is sitting there in New York City, if her coalition starts splintering and you're getting unions complaining about, it'll just collapse before it starts. She needs the chirping to be positive with that New York media.
Well, I'll take it one step further, Dan. She needs media. And what I mean by that is, I've done a couple of races in New Jersey, and there's a Trenton press corps that's like 4 people. And so you're jammed between New York and Philly. So she's got to keep that profile up. How do you get on MSNBC? How do you get out there? So this is going to be and it's not easy, because Trenton's, not in direct proximity of New York. Yeah, but my point is that you need to say to your team, I need to be on Morning Joe. 2 mornings a week. I need to go on these CNN programs. But in all seriousness, that's got to be a priority, because I think some governors would say, hey, let's get 60 days under our belt. She's got to make sure she's got a great press team that understands that's got to be, her profile's got to be maintained.
Yeah. All right. Mom Donnie did an interview with Melissa Russo of Channel 4, in which she said, "Are you going to call Trump?" And he said, "I'm going to call the White House." So we're not going to play it because we're short of time. Dan or Sean first. When he calls, maybe staff will call first. When he talks to a White House official, who will the first White House official he talks to be? Will it be the president, Susie Wiles, the head of intergovernmental affairs? Who do you think he'll talk to first?
Susie Wiles will be the first call, and then they will announce a subsequent call with the president.
I agree with that. Dan, you want to dissent?
Okay. Or could it be a meeting?
Yeah. I don't think that he wants to meet with the guy in person.
Yeah.
Because he gets to walk out and hit the sticks and talk to the media. So I would do a phone call with him, keep it contained.
Right. All right. We got to play this. Play 116. This is Jack Schlossberg's announcement video, and tell me if you think the poor audio with the wind in the background is charming or a sign that they don't know what they're doing. Roll this, please.
My name is Jack Schlossberg, and I'm running for Congress to represent my home, New York's 12th Congressional District, where I was born and raised, where I took the bus to school every single day, from one side of the district to the other. This is the best part of the greatest city on earth. We have the best hospitals and schools, restaurants and museums, the financial and media capital of the world. This district should have a representative who can harness the creativity, energy, and drive of this district and translate that into political power in Washington. I'm not running because I have all the answers to our problems. I'm running because the people of New York 12 do. I want to listen to your struggles.
Come on over.
Hear your stories. Amplify your voice, go to Washington, and execute on your behalf. There is nowhere I'd rather be than in the arena fighting for my hometown. Over the next 8 months, during the course of this campaign, I hope to meet as many of you as I can. If you see me on the street, please say hello.
I will.
If I knock on your door, I hope we can have a conversation.
Nah, you got to get by the door, man.
Personal.
Yeah.
Thanks. More to come soon.
Is he on the pier by New York? Is that the Intrepid?
New York is the place of opportunity.
Yeah.
There is a place.
It's a weird thing. The whole thing's weird. Here's my question. Again, you got to read the Maureen Dowd piece if you haven't read it. They did a long interview with MSNBC. It's also worth watching if you're interested. Dan, will he be a player in this primary? It's a very crowded. The front runner is Nadler's chosen successor, who's a longtime operative and elected official. Will he be a player in this? Will he be?
He could, because he is not shy on social media. The question always with the Kennedys, whether it's Kathleen, Mark, others, is, do you have the fire in your belly and the grit and the determination to go and get it? Because the problem with these kids often is whenever the going gets tough, somebody else opens the door for them and helps them. It's how they've all grown up. And so I want to see if he can really get out there and hustle and be nimble and be innovative and scrap. He has his name will give him a chance.
Sean, you impressed with it?
No, the people of New York will not. Look, I thought
if we had time, I would play a Mayor Quimby clip.
The funny thing about this, and by the way, just as context, I for a while was represented by Patrick Kennedy in Rhode Island's first congressional district when he was a student at Providence College. After he got, well, anyway. But the reality is that I think, to Dan's point, he has an opportunity. What I thought was interesting about the video is this. Mondami just gave you the playbook. He handed it over and said, this is how you can do good social media videos. It was inauthentic. It was poorly produced, as you point out, because and so to me, it was like somebody just said, here's how to do this. And he went, no, I don't need to read that. I can do it myself. Yeah. And I think that was a tell to me that you didn't take the time to see how the guy right before you did that. Another real pet peeve of mine is no one gives a crap what your district is. No one knows what district they live in. So he should have just said, New York, I did it. Like, I think the 12th district. Do you really think
us folks in the Fighting 12th, we have a lot of pride.
Really? We
all wear T-shirts that say
we gotta get Fairway and Green to do a
don't mess with the 12th. All right, we'll see.
I don't know.
he's just, again, I don't read the chat, but I glance at it. He's JFK's only grandson. He's Caroline Kennedy, who John's sister, who was ambassador to Japan. He's her son, and he's anti-RFK. He does not like RFKJ. He's been at war with him, and he deleted a social media post in which he made fun of him. But he's in good standing with most of the family, I will say. And his cousin was on the White Lotus. And again, read the Maureen piece. All right, another quick sponsor word, and then to your questions, please raise your hand. If you've never raised your hand, today's the day. Poncho, our friends at Poncho Outdoors want to allow you to get $10 off your first order and free shipping by going to ponchooutdoors.com/2WMM. They've got you covered with denims and flannels and all sorts of new styles. It's stuff that's soft, broken in feel from the time you unpack it. It's good weight, it's comfortable all day, and it pairs well with anything. They're built for comfort. Again, just you put them on and they're ready to go. And they're great to layer as it starts to get colder. The other day, I literally wore 3 different things from my friends at Poncho. Wick sweat, dries fast, ready for the outdoors. And right now, gear up for fall. Every piece built for comfort, performance, lasting style, free shipping, $10 off your first order. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/2WMM. And when the pop-up comes up and they say, how'd you hear about this? Just put in Dan Turrentine, 2 R's, 1 N. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
All right, nice poncho. Sure.
Here we go. Susan, welcome in. Thank you for being part of Two-Way. Unmute. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind for Sean and Dan.
Thanks for calling on me. I don't always watch live, so I have a couple of comments, and I hope that y'all make comments on them. Number one, when Trump is designing his presidential library, I hope he makes a room for Charlie Kirk there. And all that.
Oh, good call.
Wow, that's great.
Should go in that room because they all say he was a main part of why Trump won. And that would also bring lots of young people to the library.
That's genius.
Okay.
Seriously.
On Sean, start texting the people at the White House with that idea. The second thing is when Cheney died, y'all said all the vice presidents would go there, and would J.D. Vance go? I'm wondering, will Harris go?
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Because of Liz, she probably would.
And so did he.
Yeah.
And my next one is Tucker and Nick. Tucker is trying to catch up with Joe Rogan, who has 20.4 million. Tucker only has 4.98 million subscribers. He's just trying to get controversial people on there so people will watch and like and subscribe.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say only 4 million, but yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
All right, Susan, thank you. Sean, anything on that?
Yeah, in order, great call on the library. 2, fantastic. It's for a million reasons. It's a great comment and idea on the library. If you don't mind, Susan, my text just says I had an idea. So respectfully, just know that Susan Goldman will be behind that. But and then I'm sorry, on the
Tucker and Rogan.
Yeah, on the Tucker. On the Harris thing, I think you're right. She'll go for what Mark's reason. There's actually more than just the historical traditional reason that there's he did a video urging people to vote for Harris because of his daughter Liz. So I think he'll go for that reason as well. And then on the Tucker thing, look, I've known Tucker a long time, and I will tell you, I don't think Tucker does things for ratings. Tucker doesn't actually probably care more than anybody about ratings or opinions. He does what Tucker does. And that's the thing that people have to understand, is that you may agree or disagree with something that Tucker Carlson does. But as long as I've known them, the guy's really never cared about what anyone else thinks. He does what he wants to do and what he believes is right, and just does it. And that's who he is.
Good to know. And Dan and Sean, y'all will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Grateful to you. Thank you. Stephen, welcome in. Thanks for being part of Two-Way. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind.
I am in Oklahoma City by way of Dallas, Texas. I'm traveling for business. But I watched a piece that you did this morning when I was doing a run, Mark, on that article written by the young man that was reporting on his son's sort of emasculation in the elementary school band tryout.
Stevens referring to one of the things I talked about on Next Up, a long tweet from a guy who believes, as many people I know do, that the way young men are treated in schools can often turn them towards things like being interested in Nick Fuentes. It's more complicated than that, but that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, I recommend everybody go listen to it. It's about 11, 12 minutes. It's great.
Thank you, sir.
I want to absolutely. I want to add to something to that. You guys have been talking about the Groypers and Nick Fuentes, and people have been, arguing about the Tucker Nick Fuentes piece. I don't know who's actually listened to it. And I think that if you go and listen to it, I'm not arguing for these Groypers or for Nick Fuentes, but Nick makes a lot of sense with a lot of things he says. And there's a lot of that tied around a bunch of stuff people don't want to hear. And I'm not necessarily advocating for that standpoint, but sometimes the truth hurts. And then you take the truth and then you kind of add your own little bit of, narcissistic racism into it, you know what I mean? And it starts to sound real ugly to people.
Yeah.
So I'm
Steve,
not advocating. Go ahead.
Well, you're saying something complicated, and we're all going to weigh in. I mean, you can say sensible things 9 out of 10, but if you say something as offensive as support for Hitler,
Sure.
I think it's maybe wouldn't be the way I would frame it to say, well, he says some good things, so whatever about the other stuff.
Well, and I'm not saying good.
For many
I said
people.
honest.
Well,
Yeah.
but I understand, no doubt. And again, I appreciate the honesty with which you bring to this. I just don't want to be passive in telling you what I think about it, which is, and what I said and what you listen to is the most important thing to me is to not say what Tucker did or whatever. The most important thing is to say, why are young men, including some people who serve in this administration, who work on Capitol Hill, why are they so interested in him? And how do we bring them back? And a lot of the things he says, I shouldn't say a lot, some of the things he says are perfectly sensible. I understand why people find them appealing. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is he says things that are disqualifyingly offensive. He shouldn't be banned. He shouldn't be banned, but it's so dangerous for these young men to follow him and think, well, that thing he said really makes a lot of sense. So now I'm going on the gateway drug to listening to his point of view on Hitler.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
What I was alluding to, just really quickly, I'll make my point and I'll get off, is that you can dismiss him for being racist, but the reality of it is he gets billions of views across the platforms.
But the answer to that is to not bow down to his market dominance. The answer to that is to rescue the young men away from him. Dan.
Agreed. And you wrestle them away from him with sensible policies and paying attention to them.
Yes, sir.
That was my point. People have been ignored for so long.
100%.
That was your point to that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
So
Steve.
I have a lot of experience with this in our house because we have 4 boys, all of whom are on social media between 12 and 16. Over the last year, at varying times, they have all come in multiple times to the dinner table and said, do you know who Nick Fuentes is? Have you seen this clip? And they play it for me as a ha-ha. It's so outrageous. This is hilarious. All my friends are are sharing it, etc. And we have to have that conversation of, okay, what he's saying is outrageous. And they're like, yeah, but it's funny. And what I worry about is it brings a casualness and then almost an acceptance to this kind of crazy talk about blacks and Jews, and you're just like, oh my God, these kids are having it trafficked all day long. They all know who Nick Fuentes is.
Yeah,
almost every teenage boy does.
But let me ask you a question. So from somebody on the left, I feel like so much of the Nick Fuentes stuff gains traction because when you take things like crime statistics and you alter them in Baltimore or in Washington, D.C., and you do some of these things and you have, a media that lies for the cover up. Totally. And then you go, and the only person telling the truth about this is Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes.
And you have, and then Sean will get in, and you have, as I talked about in the monologue, and you have an education system that tells boys they need to be more like girls or there's something wrong with them.
Right.
So, of course, Nick Fuentes is appealing to them. No one should be surprised that he's appealing, but we have to bring the boys back so that they can have crass humor and they can have jokes about race. But what they can't have is someone they love who celebrates Hitler. That's what they can't have.
Agreed. 1,000. Listen, I'm not advocating for Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
But I'm advocating.
I get what you're saying.
And I'm looking in the chat, which I never do, and I see somebody put Nick Fuentes equal Howard Stern. As someone who was an earlier follower of Howard Stern, I'm telling you, no comparison. Offensive, racially tinged, etc. No, Howard Stern did not genuinely celebrate Hitler in order to get more popular.
Agreed.
It's not the same. All right, Sean, you want to pass here?
I think it's probably a strong career move.
Yeah.
But I will say the one thing that's interesting to me, Frank Luntz had this really good analysis back in the day about how to get people on your side. And he went value, goal, solution. So you get people to agree with the overall value. We all want to live healthier lives. The goal is to bring down cost, and then you once you've got them 2/3 of the way, then the solution. I think, and I'll be honest with you, I think today after the talk, I want to go hear that. I've never listened to the interview because I just didn't, but I'll go do it because I want better context. And I think that's what some people are pulling out of the Fuentes thing, which is, he shared this big value, then he talked about the solution and then the goal, and then he went to a solution. And I think that's the problem, is that young men in particular are buying in on the solution because of the aforementioned points that you made, that, well, the media can't be trusted and politicians lie to us, and so better him than us. And that's where people have got to stop letting that, not addressing it. I think to Dan's point, if you have young kids, be involved, talk about it, and say, guys, here's the step that's missing here. Because in the absence of that, that's why people think it's okay.
Yeah. And here's why Charlie Kirk was so superior to Fuentes. Charlie saw that economics was a huge part of this. These young men, they want jobs. They want to be able to buy a house. They don't see that's possible. Charlie said, well, let's work on that. Let's give them faith and let's give them economic hope by trying to find policies that would help them. Fuentes is just a salesman. He's just selling anger and hatred and ridicule and pro-Nazi positions. And again, go listen to Next Up. I won't repeat everything I said. I got to sneak in one more ad from our folks at Lean. If you want to lose weight the right way, no fad diets, no juice cleanses, none of Sean's famous cabbage soup or raw food. Go to takelean.com.
He is in LA.
Go to takelean.com. 20% off the entire site with the promo code 2WMM. Avoid weight cycling where you lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. It's very unhealthy. Lean was created by doctors. It's not an injectable, one of those GLP-1 injectables. It's science-backed to allow you to maintain healthy blood sugar levels, control appetite and cravings, and burn fat by converting it to energy. So if you're looking to lose weight in a meaningful and safe way, try this. Lean worked for many. Healthy pace of weight loss, allowing you to keep it off. Add Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Go to takelean.com. Use the promo code 2WMM for 20% off your order. Again, takelean.com, promo code 2WMM. Thank you for your attention to that matter. Sean, what do you have tonight?
Well, speaking of this discussion, it leads right into the discussion I'm going to have with Marjorie Taylor Greene on a lot of these subjects.
Whoa.
I look forward to hearing what she say about the emails.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We'll talk a little Epstein, and obviously she's been very critical of the president's agenda and what he's spending his time on. And then Kevin Hern, who's a very, very outspoken and principled conservative about the way forward on spending and healthcare and all that kind of stuff.
Let me ask the producers, did Megyn's guest change from what I was told this morning? Megyn McCain, did her guest change?
Well, she was having, what's her name? At least
they did. Okay. Well, she does not. That's changed. Okay. Her guest, Megyn McCain, Citizen McCain, guests at noon Eastern time today. Nikki Schwab of the Daily Mail. I'll be doing two-way tonight this evening at 5 o'clock on the two-way platform. So if you want to join to ask questions, please join at 5 o'clock to watch the show live. It'll stream on YouTube at 6 o'clock. My guest, Jaime Moore, a Democratic strategist, and Jessica Anderson of the Sentinel Action Fund will be my guest, and we'll talk all about the Epstein reaction, the House movement on the government shutdown, and then, of course, everything that comes out of Caroline's briefing. We'll see at 5 o'clock on the two-way platform for that, at 6 o'clock stream on YouTube, and then 7 here on the two-way platform. Our friend Bridget Fedesi, Real America with Bridget, discusses AI. So join Bridget at 7, and all three of us will be back tomorrow in 23 hours right here for the morning meeting. We're grateful to you all for being part of the community. And we'd like to see more of you show up as we have in your Fairway and Green finery. So we'll see you at 9 a.m. And if you want to get a question in, again, best way to do that, Fairway and Green apparel, cute dogs or cuter babies.
Kids.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Thank you all for watching. We'll see everybody in 23 hours.
Are you on Smerconish? Can people go see
Oh,
you?
yeah, I'm on Smerconish at right now. I'm on Smerconish. See you there.
Take care.